Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. Today is Friday. It's April 21st, 2023. My name's Jeremy, and this is my first cup. That's pretty good. It's pretty good coffee. How are you? How was your Thursday? What is going on? Are you excited for Friday? I sure am. Yesterday was a pretty great day. I'll tell you all about it as we get going. Today's going to be a great day. This is going to be a great weekend. I'm super excited, and I hope you are too. Who's here? I want to say good morning to Brian and Frank, and I know there are more of you here. And just as you come in, make sure you chime in the chat. I want to know who's here. The first thing I want to say is why I have this mug. And for those of you listening to the audio, my world's greatest mom mug, because I am staying at, let's call it a hotel. It's not quite a hotel, but, and most of the mugs in the cabinet were boring. This is the only mug that was not boring. This world's greatest mom mug. So that is what I am drinking my coffee out of this morning. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Dennis. Dennis said, did someone say Friday? Did somebody say Friday? Sure did. I got to see Dennis last night as we cheered on and celebrated two of our friends testing for black belt in the Superfoot organization. One of those people you know, many of you know, Andrew Adams. Of course, maybe you're new to this show. Andrew is my oft co-host and producer for Martial Arts Radio and a great friend. And he went out there and he did it. He did a great job, and I'm super proud of him. And Abby went out there and she did it. She did a great job, and I'm super proud. And Dennis helped them a huge amount getting them ready, and I know how thankful they are for him because we've talked about it. So here I am in Waterville Valley, New Hampshire. And Dennis said they did so great. They really did. I'm super proud of them. I, and soon to be many, are in Waterville Valley, New Hampshire for what is officially called the Martial Arts Symposium, but what could be called a Whistlekick Martial Arts Radio Reunion, because the number of people who have been on the show that will be here, either as presenters or participants, is kind of crazy. So just on the panel last night, the panel of people evaluating, Dennis sat on the panel. Bill Wallace was on the panel. Terry Dow was on the panel. Chris Natsky was on the panel. Danny Dring was on the panel. And then someone who, well, I'm not going to say the name because Andrew already invited her to come on the show, and she said yes. So I won't ruin that for you. And then other folks presenting, Datu Tim Hartman. What else is on there? I'm trying to visualize Rob Buckland, Brent Creasy, Ryan Chamberlain, tons of people, absolutely tons of people. And that's why I come to this event, because I like to see all these people. These are all friends or people I want to become friends with. So I come and I hang out. And this year, I'm teaching a session. So that's cool. Although I guess I would say share. Coffee. I got to say, knockoff K-Cups are never as good. They just aren't. Good morning, Nathan. Nathan will be presenting a session tomorrow. And so it'll be a good day. It's going to be a good day. I'm excited. What am I doing today? Today, we don't start training until 3. So I'll be doing some work. Probably not a ton of work. Well, I'll do some work. There's some email. Pardon me. And just as a to throw out there, if anybody knows anybody, we do have some kind of last minute spots for All In Weekend. Received an email yesterday from somebody who's not going to be able to attend. They became injured, and so if you want their spot or know somebody that wants their spot, excuse me, let me. What else can I share about my day yesterday? This is a beautiful area of New Hampshire. It's one that I have not been in, and it's kind of funny. I grew up in Maine, live in Vermont, and so for various reasons, for 40 years, I've driven east to west through New Hampshire, and I know some areas pretty well. The North Conway region. Uh, that is the Route 302 passage to Vermont. I know north, the Route 2 passage to Vermont. But this is a stretch I don't know, and there's a ton of hiking around here, and I've just never even been through here. And it's really kind of cool. And so, where I'm staying, I said it's not quite a hotel. Imagine a condo complex where the condos are generally rented out. This place has 4 beds. There's a Murphy bed there. There's a queen size bed in there. There's 2 twin beds in there. There's a big kitchenette. I mean, this is nicer than my first apartment by far. There's a VCR. Who doesn't want a VCR in 2023? I don't see any videotapes, so I'm not sure why there's a VCR, because I don't imagine people lug around VHS tapes on vacation. But maybe they do. Maybe there are people who come and they stay here and they're super excited because they can watch their old Disney movies. Jenny says, a VCR? I'm so jealous. The only people I know who watch anything on VHS anymore, it has to do with Disney movies, because I guess they're hard to get on DVD or Blu-ray, or they were. I don't know if that changed with Disney Plus. I have no idea. Can you get everything on Disney Plus, all the old ones? Okay, the coffee has somehow gotten worse. Jenny says, if only it was a Betamax. I've never watched anything on Beta that I'm familiar with. Or Laserdisc. Remember Laserdisc? It was like a DVD, but it was the size of a record. And apparently when DVDs first came out, they weren't. Am I correct? They may know this stuff. I think Laserdiscs were slightly better than DVDs, but it was the size. And I think they were more prone to scratches. But then Blu-ray came out. It wasn't an issue anymore. Jenny says, you can get everything on Disney Plus. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I'm behind on things. Isn't there a new season of Mandalorian? I haven't watched that. I got so much stuff I gotta watch. I don't have to watch it. Isn't that funny that that's my instinct? That's where I go with it. That I want to be caught up on these shows that I enjoy. From people about martial arts radio, this idea that, oh, I'm not caught up, as if it's a commitment. It's as if you have to listen to or watch every episode. You don't. It's up to you. In fact, I would rather there be so much good stuff out there. I kind of hate that light right there, but there. If I can stay right here, it'd be perfect. I'm not going to try. I'd rather there be too much stuff. That way you can watch or listen to as much or as little as you want. And Jenny says, yes, new season of The Mandalorian, and all episodes are now streaming. Great. And the only Betamax you ever watched was the Robin Williams Popeye movie. Oh, wow. That's a flashback. what else do I want to say about this weekend? So I will be teaching the same genre that I generally do, right? What was originally titled The Magic of Slow, that was not being received well as in by name. And I'm still playing. And the second generation name here, I'm actually going to look this up. Good morning and a happy Friday to you, Gad. The intermediate name was Reduced Intensity Training Method, RIT method. And I didn't love it. And I had something in this task management system for a better name. Where is it? Is it here? Pardon me as I look. This. Is it this? Here we go. And actually, maybe you all can help me with this. Yeah, let's do that. Let's spend a couple minutes doing that. So I'm going to jump in the banners here. So I had okay. I don't love this. So I've got some others, and I spent some time playing with other names, and I'll read them out to you. I like the word Zen in there because it carries the word I use when I name things with my clients is institutionalized context, right? So if we take that out and we start with Zen for those of you that wonder, what does Jeremy do all day? This is the kind of stuff that I do all day. I work through this process, and maybe you will find this interesting. Maybe you won't, and that's okay. So up on the screen, for those of you listening, I have Zen, second word, third word, because it needs 3 words. I don't think I can do this in 2 words. So the other words that I have are, for the second word, combat, or method, or combative, or priming, or movement. I don't like the word movement as much because it suggests, here, let's edit this. So Zen, combat, combative, movement, priming. I don't like priming because people don't know what it means. Movement is okay, but coupled with Zen, it doesn't work super well. Combative suggests that it's a self-defense system, and it's not. Combat is the word that I think I like the best. Frank says, how about slow for more flow? People have to have an idea of what it means. So, for example, on the schedule for tomorrow is just my name and the title of what I'm teaching. People have to have an idea of what it means. They have to have an idea of what they're going to get from it when they go. Good morning to Andy. Good morning to Stacy. And so we're almost there with what I've got going here. And then the third word, training, methodology, combatives. Training, methodology, combatives. Let me take out the word combative here. priming here. Let me take out movement. Nope, I want movement there. So we have this: Zen, combat or movement, and then the third word, training, methodology, or combatives. And I think, so if we go back to this, I don't like combatives. Nope, it didn't save it. I appreciate everyone letting me do some work while I'm talking to you this morning. Jenny says, Zen awareness combat training. I'm trying to get it down to 3 words. That's part of what I don't like about reduced intensity training method. Reduced intensity training gets closer than Magic of Slow, but it's not quite all the way there. And ZAC is a good acronym. I like that because it's got a name. And I like being able to name it with an acronym. But the awareness part doesn't. Awareness is a good word. Zen awareness training doesn't quite explain what it is. Zen awareness combat doesn't quite explain what it is. The reason that I like Zen is it encompasses the most stuff. So where'd my banners go? So if we're here, and I like, let's see. So what are our options here? Zen combat training, Zen combat methodology, which makes it sound like a way of fighting, and it's not that. Zen movement training makes it sound like Tai Chi. Zen movement methodology. See, I don't like methodology because it's making me feel, and I'm curious if you all see this similarly. Methodology makes it sound more like a way of fighting rather than a way of training. Zen movement training or Zen combat training. And this is where I keep coming back to Zen combat training. Or the ZCT method. That's what I keep coming back to. So, a little bit of behind the scenes on what I do and how I do things. If you have further thoughts on that, especially if you've taken a seminar, I would love to hear it. So let me know. Andy says, ZAC awareness? Maybe. Gad says, mind and body combat? That's an interesting direction, MBC. Maybe. I'm going to jot that in my notes over here because it takes it in a whole different direction. All right, I'm going to switch gears here. I appreciate you all hanging out with me while I did that. And if you have other ideas, please shoot me a message or an email. I'd love to hear it. But it's joke time. It is joke time. And thank you to Frank for sending over jokes and other stuff. I appreciate all your work on the show. Frank the producer. Frank the producer sounds like a Frank Sinatra era Rat Pack era title, right? Like he'd be rolling around with Sammy Davis Jr. For those of you that came in later, my mug for today, world's greatest mom. Okay. I said I wasn't going to put any more of these up, but this is amazing, so I have to. Dennis is suggesting the LFW. Oh, LFW. The Let's Fight. Woo! Yep, Gad, you're right. Gad's highlighting one of the downsides of the word Zen. But we're going to do jokes. We're going to do jokes. You all hung with me while I did that. All right, the jokes for Fun Day Friday. There are a lot here, and where did I go here? I want to get this right. We're going to nope, this one. So I know you're not going to be able to read these because there are a lot of them here, and that's okay. The jokes for Fun Day Friday. April is National Humor Month. As a comedian, I see no reason to go on stage. They're just going to laugh at me. What do you call a procrastinating comedian? I don't know. I'll come up with a punchline later. My friends won't let me babysit their kids because I'm a professional comedian. But why? I've always done a stand-up job. What does a doctor with a comedian degree do? He leaves the patients in stitches. A lawyer, comedian, and a war hero walk into a bar. Oh, skipping that one. What do a chiropractor, a comedian, and a druggie all have in common? They all try their best to crack you up. Which goddess did stand-up comedians worship in ancient Greece? Amoryte. Why do Amazon Prime drivers make terrible comedians? Because their delivery takes 2 days. Why do mountain ranges make such good comedians? Because they're hill areas. Hilarious. A comedian tells a joke and no one in the audience laughs. To this he responds, "Come on, people, I do this for a living, not for dead silence." Why didn't anyone offer the comedian a seat in the bus? Because he was a stand-up comedian. One time a stand-up comedian started telling direction puns. They were downright disgraceful. The audience up and left. Why did the comedian refuse to go to the doctor? He thought laughter was the best medicine. Thank you, Frank. Which one was my favorite? The delivery. Why do Amazon Prime drivers make terrible comedians? Because their delivery takes 2 days. I've known some comedians who take a while on their stuff. Jenny liked the crack one. Stacy liked the dead silence one. For sure. All right, there's our jokes. Good times. And so tomorrow's Earth Day. For those of you who don't know, in a couple weeks here in Vermont, well, I guess not here currently, but in Vermont, Jenny says, "Great jokes, Frank," as always. I love having jokes. In Vermont, we have a day that I think just blows the doors off of Earth Day, and it's called a Green Up Day. And is a day that literally tens of thousands, if not 100,000 people in Vermont, keep in mind we only have 600 and something thousand people, clean up the state. The state pays for all the disposal of everything, and it is almost like a holiday where everybody goes around, and there's a spot, the loop that I like to walk near my house that's a class 4 road. Unfortunately, it does end up with some trash. I've cleaned it up pretty well, but there are still some, every year people drive through and they throw beer cans. But this year with the Jeep, I'll be driving and I'll be able to get so much more. I walked it last weekend and there was a broken toilet. There were a couple other things, and I should be able to grab everything with the Jeep, and I'm pretty excited for that. So for those of you celebrating or thinking about Earth Day, there's stuff you can do. There are literally concrete things you can do sometimes. Stacey says, "Green Up Day rocks." Sure does. And he says, "Let me know, I'll help you." Thank you. But I've got it under control. There are people in my area that I work with to do Green Up Day. Do Green Up Day in your area. Your area. Can't talk this morning. And so where did my Earth Day quotes go? Here we go. So this is caffeinated coffee. We'll see how the morning goes. Tomorrow's Earth Day. Humankind has not woven the web of life. We are but one thread within it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. All things are bound together, all things connect. Chief Seattle. This is something that I think about a lot. We, as human beings, are so incredibly arrogant about our place in the world. We think that because we are, if you like the term apex species or apex predators, because we are at the top of a food chain or the food chain, or even if you want to say all the food chains, that gives us a separation from them. It doesn't. In fact, the more you understand about the way those food chains work, what happens when apex predators become too prevalent? They die off because they eat too much of what's below them in the food chain. And so when we look at the world and whatever physical condition with the world we're talking about, and I'm not going to name any, and people get really bent out of shape, and they say, we're destroying the planet. Well, we're destroying the planet for us. It's self-correcting. There's something I find really elegant about that. I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't change behaviors. I'm not suggesting anything other than if you believe in the Gaia hypothesis, and I do, which essentially says that you can take the Earth as a single living organism and consider it as such. It's kind of like having a cold or a flu, right? If the Earth gets sick, it has mechanisms to correct it. Green Update, Jenny says, the whole state? That's awesome. Yes, they publish statistics on the amount of trash that is collected for Green Update, and it's insane. She says, my college friends and I tried to make an annual campus cleanup day, and we couldn't even get it to carry into a second year. It's really tough. Yeah, it says, just an observation. We as apex, quote, apex predators are still predated upon by bacteria and viruses. Because, if we go back to the quote from Chief Seattle, I don't like that view. I like this view. All things are bound together. All things connect. It's a web. Next. Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better. Albert Einstein. One of the greatest minds that we know of, one of the greatest minds of modern times, Albert Einstein, made such incredible contributions to science that some of them took decades for us to have the ability to prove. That's kind of cool. That's a man who was ahead of his time. I find a lot of value in considering nature. When I think about humanity, I find a lot of inspiration in nature. When I think about martial arts, I find inspiration in nature. And I wonder if the original intent, and I wish Tommy was here. I don't know if anybody else in the chat has Kung Fu experience. I have not even close to enough to answer this question. But it makes me wonder if the original intent of the animal styles was a bit more philosophical rather than application. I've read stories and seen movies where it's, go study the snake. And yeah, I mean, there's some mimicry to the movements. But if you study all these different animals, yeah, you come away with some movement patterns, but do you not also come away with a different understanding of animals and yourself and the world? I like nature. You all do that. And our last quote for the day before I turn you loose, from John Muir. I only went out for a walk and finally concluded to stay out till sundown. For going out, I found, was really going in. How many of you feel better when you're outside, moving in nature, just going for a walk? And nature doesn't necessarily mean the forest. It could, but you might live somewhere where there isn't a ton of forest. Your version of nature, to be out and about, to be part of the web. I actually really enjoy walking around cities. Do I ultimately want to get back to the forest? Yeah. But if we think about that web, what does being in our home or this hotel room do? It disconnects us from that web. Right? We need that at times, right? Sleeping outside around everything. It's loud, it's chaotic, it's kind of hard to rest. But we're meant to be part of it, not separate from it. And I think a lot of our challenges as a modern society, we think the solution is disconnecting. I think the solution involves more connecting. And if there are things that cannot be connected to, things that are unsustainable for connection, maybe those are things we should not have. Jenny says, I love nature too. When I feel like running away, that's where I want to go to disappear. It's where I recharge and reground myself. It's why I love to garden, even in a few pots on my apartment balcony. Stacy says, just being outside can be healing. For me, it's water. Sitting by water, magical and cleansing. The sound of water calming. Stacy, if you can find it, because it's out of print, there's a book by a woman that I know from Randolph that got pushed really far, really fast, and then was canceled off, called Water Music. And the author is Marjorie Ryerson. I used to live down the street from her. If you can find it, it's really cool. So, yeah. And Dennis says he's in agreement. Yes, as his profile picture is him next to water. So what do you do with this? If we want to think about celebrating Earth Day, why not, instead of making that celebration separate from yourself, why not celebrate your relationship to the earth, whatever that means to you? Maybe you go outside and train. Maybe you go kick a tree. Don't kick a tree. The tree's going to be fine. Okay? You're not going to kick it down. If you are, you're a monster, and I want to see video of that. But just take your training outside, even if it's for a few minutes. Maybe it's going out for a walk. I don't care. Whatever works for you is good for me. Thank you for coming by. I appreciate all of you. This was a fun conversation. Thank you, Frank, for the conversation starters. And if you want to support Whistlekick and all that we do, here are the 3 biggies. Use the code FirstCup15 at whistlekick.com to save 15% on something like a First Cup mug, or maybe a hoodie like this, or perhaps a hat. That was a lot of work for a hat. You can also join the Patreon for as little as $2 a month. $2 a month. Do you want to know the absolutely massive name that I am interviewing next Tuesday? Well, if you are in the Patreon, you'll get to know long before that episode's released. And of course, if you want the whole list, all the things that you can do as part of our family to support this family as it continues to grow and bring in new members and make an impact on the world, it's the family page, whistlekick.com/family. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend and have fun and have a great weekend and other sentiments of that nature. I hope you do too. I hope to see you all soon. Take care, everyone.